Welcome back. My name is Sheldon McLeod. This is Thinking Out Loud. This is my corner of the internet, a spot for us to talk about issues and stories and people who are making a difference in their community. And it's no secret for you, if you've been following along here on the SaltWire Network, that I love helping the helpers. I love giving an opportunity for people to show what it is that they're doing to bring other people along on the journey. And this is a really interesting initiative. The Nova Scotia Brotherhood Initiative is something that has been around for a while. Now, there is the 4th annual Nova Scotia Black Men's Health Conference coming up in just a few moments. This is some video, if you're watching this, from November of 2019. Dwayne Winter is joining the conversation, and Dwayne is involved with the group that we talked about, the Nova Scotia Brotherhood Initiative. Good day to you, and Dwayne, congratulations on the 4th edition of this conference.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What can you tell me about where this began? Where did the idea for this come from?
So the idea for the conference would have been 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. We just felt that Black men within Nova Scotia need something to call their own. So the idea of the conference came about. The first 4 years we had it at Dalhousie, because a lot of our men who actually volunteer with the Brotherhood, they're in Dal, started med school or taking different programs. Mm-hmm. So we had an agreement with Dalhousie to allow us to use the facilities. So I'd say that this was the 4th one. So the first 3 were at Dalhousie, and they occurred on a Saturday from 8:30 to 4:30. So the last one we had close to 200 men come out on a rainy Saturday to come and talk about social determinants of health, which affect Black men within Nova Scotia.
Looking here, it says 13 breakout sessions, a focus on learning and sharing and having conversations about a variety of factors. What, in your experience, happens when you have a group of men who can see each other, have common, perhaps, stories, have something in common, who have had perhaps, a challenge with the systems that exist around them, that perhaps haven't been as aware of or alive to the challenges and the differences faced by Black men in Nova Scotia?
So what happens is a lot of heart-to-heart conversation, a lot of very truthful conversation comes out, and it helps these men to realize that they're not alone. A lot of us do face the same challenges, whether we work within the health system or not, and it lets them know that this is a way for us to learn and to make a difference, to help and move forward in life, so that we can actually face those challenges and get the help we need to better ourselves.
And I'd mentioned that Deputy Chief Corey Beals will be there. And do you know Deputy Chief Beals personally?
Yeah, I've been to a couple conferences where he spoke. Very knowledgeable person. I'd say he's from the community of North Preston, and he's come up to the ranks, and just an amazing individual. Very positive outlook on life, and we reached out to him because we know a lot of Black men do struggle with being from here and trying to get ahead in life. But I mean, say Corey came from North Preston, he ran up the ranks, and now he's deputy fire chief. So it just be an inspiration for a lot of men to learn and just trying to better themselves somehow.
And I've spoken with him, and he is a dynamic speaker and is someone
Exactly.
With a lot of knowledge, as you point out. I'm not familiar with Malik Adams. What can you tell me about Malik?
So Malik is a school teacher. He's also does a lot of engagements with government agencies towards cultural competency and how to deal with racism in workplaces, in schools, in institutions that a lot of Black individuals seem to have problems with racism. So he really narrows in and tries to teach employers how to better their employee relationships with racism.
Mm-hmm. Dwayne Winter, I want to ask you this question, because it's in some communities and circles, it's, if you see yourself as a victim, sometimes that will affect the way that you apply yourself. And
Correct.
This idea of trying to come together and look for supports, I think, is something that's integral to it. Would you say that's a fair comment, that this is about trying to help people find the best in themselves, find the best in opportunity, and to overcome those obstacles, and by not necessarily seeing yourself as a victim per se?
Yeah, it's a way to empower us. This is the emphasis of this conference. Actually, it's about unity and empowerment. We need to accept things. We also need to heal. We also need to move on and make a better way for the future.
And how can people who look like me better understand the challenges and what's going on when, obviously this is a long-standing challenge for a lot of people who've lived in this province for a long time?
I think people like yourself, the essence for us is to be a true ally. And when you see something like that happening, whether racism or some kind of abuse towards Black people, stand up for those people. Comfort them, make a difference. Don't just say, okay, someone else take care of it. Be that voice that we need.
Also looking here at the agenda, including mental wellness, confronting trauma, ending gun violence, uniting persons of African ancestry. There's a lot of heavy topics there.
Yeah, very much so.
And how do you address that? Like, are there specific people to speak to these particular issues, or is it a general conversation? I'm curious how that's going to look on Saturday.
So the topics that we have chosen is 13 topics, and these are individuals who are very familiar with these topics and very passionate. So they're able to really bring out the crowd to talk and express themselves and learn from these topics, and just take something home that, okay, this is what I learned today. I want to take it home and I want to actually do something with it now.
In your experience working in a professional setting, what do you feel are the misconceptions? And I'm prejudice is a word, but it's a loaded word when we're talking about race and identity. But what do you feel are the perhaps, things that people don't know or have a wrong-headed idea about?
I think people have a wrong idea of the perception of Black men. For many years, I feel people feel Black men should be just told, this is what you're supposed to do your job, nothing else. But myself, I've experienced it where, by expressing yourself and just being assertive, people think you're being aggressive. When it's not. We're not being aggressive. We know a lot of us are very intelligent people, beyond. And if we express ourselves, we just want to be heard. And it's not being aggressive. Just let us speak.
I guess the difference between being perceived as assertive as opposed to being seen or perhaps labeled aggressive. It's the same thing, but it's a different label. Yeah,
very much so.
Yeah. So this, as you say, 200 people at the last event. How many are you expecting this weekend?
This weekend we are hoping for at least 250. This is the first year after pandemic and all the rules kind of lifted. So we are hoping for about 250, and we will strive to do it again next year and get bigger and bigger every year, because I think this is definitely something needed for the African Nova Scotia population within Halifax.
Is this something people had to pre-register for?
The people have pre-registered, but we are accepting registrations a day of too. So, if you know anybody, pass it on. Please come. And the event is free, and there's going to be, there's going to be a lot of networking there, and just a lot of knowledge passed and a lot of knowledge take home.
And I'm sure, as you have mentioned, it's a chance to build relationships with people in the community and to address some of these overarching issues. And do you have to be a Black man to show up? I know that's not a okay.
Yes.
No, fair enough.
The people that we are expecting are going to be all Black men, and in the breakout rooms they're going to be discussing issues which affect us as Black men. So, as a non-Black person, they might find it very uncomfortable to be sitting in a room full of Black men expressing themselves on how they have, trauma and what they deal with in work or driving to work or walking or anywhere. So.
And I mentioned this because I've had an interview with a couple of university professors who have been holding this series of conversations called Safe Spaces for White Questions.
Yes.
So that's obviously designed to help make it for people to be comfortable. And clearly, as you point out, this is a space to make it comfortable for the people who may want to, open up.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is there anything else you wanted to add before we finish this?
I should actually. So the evening of the conference, which is Saturday evening, we're also hosting a unity event at Mount St. Vincent Rosera Hall. And this is a free event, and it will include a meal. There'll be some speeches and entertainment around. There'll be dances from the Caribbean, Africa, and Nova Scotia. So it's an event basically to unite people of the African diaspora. So people from the Caribbean, people from Africa, and people from here, original inhabitants of Nova Scotia, just to bring together and just be one, united.
Well, Dwayne Winter, it's a real pleasure for me to meet you this way, and I wish you nothing but success in this upcoming conference and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time, and you take care.
Once again, Dwayne Winter here with us from the Nova Scotia Brotherhood Initiative. Thank you again, sir. Really appreciate this.
Thank you.